The Neurocast from Truthsayers. Simon Stapleton continues his conversation with Perry Timms.
I've got a scenario in my head and I'll drop it in and you can tell me whether you have either experienced it or what your approach to it might be. But let's say we're in an organization and there are a number of senior leaders and we've looked around and thought, I don't think we need the leadership team to be how it is now that we're going into this new world. So you have to almost self-sacrifice or restructure or whatever it might be. And so I wonder, have you ever done that truth position about here's some of the proposed changes, how do you feel about it? And then here's some alternatives, how do you feel about those? And tabulated those? I don't know if you've ever done that with a quite tight leadership team.
Yeah, we actually do a lot with tight leadership teams, and we the first time we did it, we experienced actually it didn't go down too well because the very leadership team we wanted to help change were the ones who were paying our bills, and pretty much the reaction was, well, it can't be us, surely. But so there was there just wasn't the acceptance of the truth. But in many other cases, when we've worked with leadership teams where there has been more open-mindedness and more willing to listen and accept, that's worked really well because it's given them more pinpoint areas in which to test the water and actually open the dialogue and start the conversation going. And I think what's really good about what we've done is it's about starting the dialogue, because actually people in leadership positions, I would say, are mostly really good people who want to make the difference, and actually it's that first step towards it is what's enabled the magic to happen. Nice. And then we obviously use the data, so it's not just about it's a nice conversation we're done. It's about then using the data to back all that up. Yeah,
I've experienced it where people know that's the case. So, from a group of directors of say 15, you can only have 9 at the end of it. So 6 have got to go, and we've got to reorganize all the responsibilities. And everybody kind of goes, okay, if that's what it is, that's what it is. I'm coming to the end of my tether or whatever anyway. So, so I do see some what I would call acceptance of it. But what I find particularly interesting is that it then becomes a little bit competitive. It then becomes a little bit almost like dug in, entrenched, combative, and it's almost like that's not what we want. We almost want people to go, don't show your hand, put your cards on the table and we'll work out how best to create the winning combination. But the opposite happens. So I'm glad that what you're starting to reveal is that you take it away from people individually and create it more as an entity based on data that you can make choices about. It's a bit less emotive, I suppose. Okay.
Well, I mean, it's an emotive subject, and the last thing you need is to use emotion to try and solve it, because it's you just need to enable it based on data, and it's actually what the group has said. It's not what we've said that matters.
That when you talk about your evidence as the truth, then people can talk it all they like about faking, like you said, but the truth is in front of them in the data that you've given them. So it's like, that's the truth, aggregated, analyzed, responsive truth, not what you're espousing or that we've kind of concocted. That's the truth right in front of you. I think that's really powerful to get people to go, well, let's deal with that then.
Defensiveness and that are perfectly normal reactions to a threatening situation. And I think, it'd be wrong for us to suggest that people are not allowed to think that. It's more when you have a view which is different than the underlying truth, it tells you something. It tells you, it gives you data in itself that there's a denial, and what that would then lead you to is perhaps working with that individual slightly differently, and getting them to accept the data. What you do with it is, you're not talking about that. Actually, let's accept the data.
Yeah. But you can have a conversation with them about the choices they make then about that data. I think
exactly
that's the important thing.
Exactly.
So.